Welcome to the fourth episode of Arts for Mental Health with your host Asha Ponnachan in partnership with Madhura Geetam. Today we have our guest Dave Addison in studio with us. Dave spent about 25 years in various roles as a business executive. And in 2010, Dave was diagnosed with a bipolar 1 disorder and also came to the realization that he was an alcoholic. Dave had his last drink on Feb 16th, 2010, and began a journey towards wellness in body, mind, and spirit. In 2013, Dave became the executive director of Toronto City Mission, serving children and families impacted by poverty. So Dave also has the lived experience of parenting a child with substance use disorder. And this is a term that Dave has taught me. We really do have to be careful with the terminology that we use when it comes to mental health. So this is a good terminology to use. And I will ask Dave to talk more about that later on. Today, Dave's son has also been free from his addictions for over 2 years. Yay! Presently, Dave is retired and is an active leader at St. Paul's Bloor Street, and he's also a board member and peer supporter with Families for Addiction Recovery. It's called FAR Canada, and you can look that up. And there will also be some other resources for families that are going through issues with substance use. So, thank you, Dave, for providing that very generous and vulnerable bio.
Wonderful. It's great to be here, and thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you. I will ask you to do a little more detailed introduction of what I just said, including your mental health journey, and then we'll go into the rest of the questions.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I began in the corporate world. Sorry. Am I facing this way or this way?
You can look at the camera sometimes.
Okay. So, yeah, I began in the corporate world, mostly in the business development side, and was in a progressive series of positions. I did find when I was in leadership, though, I was in a conflict often with that pursuit of profit, often at the expense of people. And my number one priority was first the employees, second the customer, and then third the shareholder.
Right.
So it wasn't a really popular position.
Not when you want to make profit, no.
No, yeah. So that created a values conflict within me, and then it also ended a conflict in my corporate roles and in my position with leadership. So that made for unhealth and unhappiness. And I think that probably was tempting me towards alcohol to self-medicate. So I had what I then called an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. That's all I would classify it as. And I kind of knew that it was problematic.
Yeah. But
I didn't get to a point where I said or thought that I was an alcoholic. In 2010, I had a mental health crisis. I was manic for actually a number of months. So might call it a psychotic break of sorts. But I was in a manic state, and people around me recognized, including my wife, that I wasn't well, and had a bit of an intervention of sorts. It wasn't about the alcohol; it was about my wellness,
right,
and erratic behavior.
Right.
I ended up going to see a psychiatrist, and ended up with a realization that things weren't well.
I just want to address what some of the symptoms of mania looks like for the viewers and listeners, because people sometimes think, oh, there was a problem with alcoholism, and then there is just depression, and you sitting somewhere crying, whatever. But this doesn't always portray itself like that. It could look like you're very happy and very excited, and you're gung-ho and you're all out there, and it could look like you're having the best time of your life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was, I mean, I look back, it was surreal. There were times where it was almost like an outer body experience. You had this sense of connectedness and intuitiveness that transcended normal, thoughts and then manifested in abnormal behavior. I felt a connectedness to people in all kinds of situations, and would start conversations and form relationships, and read meaning into words and songs, and passing moments or conversations that had some significance. And it was, and I was like happy, like
you felt happy, yes.
Oh, euphoric.
Yes, so that's the thing. Sometimes people, it doesn't always appear. So what I'm trying to do is just break some impressions that people have of what some mental health illnesses can look like. It can, from the outside, look like this person's extremely competent, and just, they don't need sleep, and they don't, they can do anything in the world, and they feel on top of the world. That is also a sign, if that's not their normal behavior, which is, I highly doubt is anybody's normal behavior for any particular length of time, it is also possible manifestation of mental health issues. And while Dave is being very generous and is here with us in studio today, it took me a lot of tries reaching out to men who I know struggle with certain mental health issues, to ask them to talk about this, and they didn't want to talk about it. I have, in my experience, and many other people have in their experiences, found that women show up more to talk about these. So what do you think? Why do you think that that is an issue for a lot of men, younger or older, to talk about mental health issues?
Yeah. Well, I think the overarching issue is fear. It's fear of being judged. It's fear of appearing weak. It's fear of how this is going to impact my job. It's the stigma around mental health, that I'm not well, I'm less than, I'm broken, and what will my friends think? What will my family think? My kids, my parents, my siblings. What will my boss think? It's just a whole number of things tied back to fear that just keep men in the closet around this topic.
Yeah, and you mentioned fear and judgment and job, and weakness. And so, do you think in society we, especially on men, and boys, there's a burden of appearing a certain way that in society it displays some made up image of strength?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't agree more. And at the same time, my heart pains for men and boys, anyone, but this group in particular, who struggle with mental health or addiction, and are wrapped in this sense that it's weak.
Yeah. In fact, it takes a lot more courage to come out and talk about it. It takes a lot more, and courage is linked to strength. That it gives you the strength to come out and talk about it. And so when you address your fears, when you address the issues in life, that would ideally seem like what a strong person would do. as opposed to being legitimizing the pain that they're going through by saying, oh, as a man or as a boy, I can't share this,
Yeah.
which then leads to many more issues. What do you think we can do as members of community, as members of society, to make this a safer place for men and boys?
Well, I think what you're doing is wonderful, and one of the reasons why I was so eager to participate, because having these conversations that that normalize this, because we talk about if there's physical health manifestations of illness, cancer, diabetes, we don't look and with judgment on that person. We don't call them weak. We look with sympathy, and we want to surround them with support. So having these conversations that that show that this is a part of wellness, this is a part of health, and mental health is not weakness, and it's not something we can control. So having these conversations, destigmatizing it, so educating people is important.
Yeah.
And when you have these conversations as well, it encourages other people to share.
Yes.
And so that, like when I shared my story, with people in my circle, and then it started to share on a broader basis because of my work and when I left the corporate world. And when I started to do that, so many people would then share their story with me, men.
Yes, yeah.
And you knew it's all around us, but it's just not talked about.
Right.
And then people were comforted by the fact that they could talk to me.
Yeah.
And have an honest conversation and not be judged because of their condition or their health, or maybe it's a loved one, maybe
Right.
it's a wife talking to me because their husband is struggling, or
right.
But this is another thing. It opens a door to so much opportunity to pour into other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I view my journey with mental health to be an absolute blessing. It's a gift because I've been blessed in my recovery, and I'm able to bless other people who are on a journey maybe earlier in their road to recovery. So.
Thank you, Dave. So as you mentioned, it is really educating other people. So if there are educators out there, if there are people out there in the school systems, if there are people out there in the corporate leadership systems, religious organization systems, city, municipality, provincial hierarchy, wherever you are, really taking this message out to the people in your circle is what's going to help society change their mindset generally in terms of mental health, and for any particular community that is, or group that is struggling with being able to share this. We have loads of resources in the city. There are text helplines, there are call helplines, but people don't know these things. And even when they do know, how do they accept that they have a mental health issue unless they see someone else like myself or Dave or any of our other guests who come here and share, saying that, hey, we too have gone through this, or we are going through this, and it is possible to manage this, it is possible to heal, it is possible to live a great life through this and outside of this and overcome this. So I will ask you, Dave, to give people hope. This has started on a slightly dark base because of this severity of this topic. But I would like you to talk about your healing, how you healed, how that was the last drink you ever had, and what your therapy looks like.
Yeah. Well, it was a long journey, but back in February of 2010, it began with my wife and my parents and some others kind of having this intervention saying, Dave, something's not right. I sought out a psychiatrist. It turned out the person that I met wasn't actually a psychiatrist, but was a GP psychotherapist, but a holistic practitioner who was actually an orthomolecular specialist.
Wow.
Yeah, and that meant that she looked at me and did a whole bunch of blood work, and then determined that vitamins and supplements were needed to get my blood levels back normalized. So we began with that, and it was actually Dr. Warren, who was this marvelous person in my life, who said to me as a condition of meeting her that I couldn't have caffeine, couldn't have chocolate, had to drink 2 liters of water a day, and couldn't have alcohol. And she didn't know that I had a problem with alcohol. It was just she didn't want all of those things in my system. So that's what was the initial catalyst to not drink. So it was February 16th was actually the last day that I drank. I mentioned February 1st, and I just want to reflect back. Why was February 1st important? That was actually a day that I gave myself to the Lord. I was broken, and I was in the middle of the night in tears at the side of my bed, and I just cried out, God, if you're real, just save me from myself and from these things that are torturing me. And so that ended up being a huge part of my journey to wellness, was a spiritual awakening. And I didn't even know what a spiritual awakening was, but I learned that there's body, mind, and spirit, and the wellness of all 3 of those is critical. So I ended up encountering a person by a divine appointment that became an AA sponsor, took me through Alcoholics Anonymous. I ended up coming in the back door through a Bible study. I'd never been to a Bible study before, but came in to that circle of AA, ended up doing the 12 steps. And through that process came to the realization that I was an alcoholic. And that admission, not to anyone else, just to myself, that was a hard thing to actually say. But
yeah, because your thing was you're helping yourself through alcohol. You didn't see it as a problem at that point.
I knew it wasn't. I thought I could manage it, I think is how I was fooling myself.
Right.
Yeah, I had control over it, but it had control over me. So yeah, once alcohol was out, vitamins and supplements were in, but there came a diagnosis of bipolar 1. And when that diagnosis happened, then she decided to put me on a mood stabilizer as well. So I'm on a prescriptive mood stabilizer. It's actually lamotrigine. It's an anti-epileptic that has the side benefit of being a mood stabilizer. So now I take that to today. I've never stopped. I've never drank again. I went through therapy to work through a lot of the stuff, because there was a lot of baggage, not just around the mental health diagnosis, but the damage that you do in relationships.
Yes.
In your workplace, in your family, so and in your own self, your sense of self. I had to do a lot of work to heal, and to I was being transformed from
inside
within.
out.
So I needed to heal, and then discover my new self, and then love my new self, and that was a journey, because I had a lot of guilt and shame, and and I didn't love myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had suicidal ideations when I was in the darkness before. So yeah, it's but and then exercise as well, proper sleep. So I lost 100 pounds in through diet and lifestyle changes. But all of those things are vital for holistic wellness. And then found a church and grew spiritually. So have a wonderful relationship as a follower of Christ, and that's been a huge part as well of my my wellness. So.
Thank you. In a previous video, we have talked about self-worth and also self-love, and that one also talks about holistic wellness. And that is what we're trying to do through Arts for Mental Health. This is not just about treating a symptom or treating some health issue that we have, but like Dave mentioned, it has to be everything. It has to be your body, mind, spirit, everything. You have to learn to heal the baggage that we have on the inside, the guilt, the shame, whatever it is that each person's dealing with, low self-worth. Even in our first video with Simbu Sathy, she also talked about the same thing, the low self-worth and the impact that has on relationships. And then, of course, a lot of it is also your hormonal imbalance, which is caused by deficiency. So a lot of these have easier solutions than the long-term treatment. To some extent, is treating yourself, finding where the health issues are, and in every aspect of your health. And on that note, I will give an artistic tip about treating certain or managing certain mental health issues, and then we will end this session on that note. So one of the things that we can do in terms of severe darkness like this, once we have recognized that, is really to take that, make it a character, and talk to that character. So if it is the downside of bipolar, so you have a manic phase and you have a downside where you are complete opposite, you're completely low, take one of those and create a character out of that. Give that character a name, call it darkness if you want. And now that character and you have a role play like you would do in a theater. And what you are trying to do with that role play and through that role play really is not let this thing back into your body anymore, into your mind anymore. And you will notice that as you do these things, you're already doing many of the things that are said in the 12-step, which is acknowledging this problem, which is realizing that we need to take it outside of our head and give it some space, which is trying to figure out why this was inside us, first of all, and then trying to distance yourself from it. We hope this helps you. Come back for the 5th episode, where we will continue with our guest, Dave Addison.